Okay. Whoa. Oh, shit. I almost fell into my green screen. Holy shit. Going all blue on the video for this one. I'm going all blue. All blue on the... shit. By the way, this is not a onesie, okay? People who think this is a onesie, no, it's not a onesie, okay? Okay? They don't match. But I did get matching socks. Anyways. Hi everybody, Biscordy Baldtano here, the internet's not so busiest anime nerd, and yes, I shaved my head just for this introduction. But anyways, I couldn't find a flannel. Or my glasses. But anyways, today we're going to be reviewing Bubble. Bubble is a 2022 Netflix original post-apocalyptic 1.5 hour anime movie written by Gen Urobuchi, who is known for screenwriting anime such as Psycho Pass and Fate Zero. We also have Takeshi Obata, best known for art styles and character designs like from Death Note, which you do see later on in the movie, where certain scenes or certain characters give you a very Death Note-esque energy. We also have this movie being animated by Studio Wit, which is most popular currently for Spy X Family, also known for animating the first few seasons of Attack on Titan. So we have a lot of big names in this project, and I will discuss whether or not it actually failed or managed to meet the expectations I had jumping into this project. Starting off, when we're watching the anime and hearing Uta speak for the very first time, something felt very off. It felt like there was a problem with the audio mixing, where Uta's voice sounded a little bit more drowned out and filtered. It felt like a watery vibe, and I don't know if that's the aesthetic they were trying to go to because of the whole she's a bubble girl type of theme, but it bothered me when hearing it, because it sounded as if the voice actor spoke into a different microphone or had different mixing. It was kind of the same issue that Neo Yokio had in the beginning when watching that anime. Just check this video out. I discussed this horrible anime. Anyways, moving on. It felt as if she was speaking into a Blue Yeti microphone, and it had a very podcasty type of nature to it, the way it was so filtered and drowned. It felt compressed. Heavily compressed. It progressively gets better, but it is still noticeable when it first occurs. As for Hibiki's voice acting, really emotional. I really loved it. Very like deserving of high praise, especially at the end whenever Hibiki cries and stuff like that. It actually gave me literal chills. I loved it. Top tier voice acting from Hibiki. Now this anime starts off with a very spacey underwater kind of drowned tune, which leads to the opening theme performed by Eve, best known for Jujutsu Kaisen's opening, Kai Kai Kitan, which is surprising because while yes, this movie fits Eve's current aesthetic, because his music kind of follows this type of theme of a very mellow, soft singing, calm mood, I kind of did not expect this anime to have an opening theme in the first 40 seconds after 40 seconds of credits and logos and like, oh, Warner Brothers and Netflix and Wit Studio, and I did not expect Eve to come immediately after that, which was kind of a breath of fresh air. It's something that I didn't like, but you kind of get used to it. And what I do love Eve's voice, it felt very oddly placed. I feel like it could have been placed somewhere else in the movie instead of immediately after getting like 40 seconds of logos and all of that stuff. But I did really enjoy the idea of even an anime movie has its own opening intro. So that was a new thing for me. It was something I wasn't really used to, because I don't see animes that usually start off with an anime theme straight off bat, right? So that was something I really enjoyed. We also have music scattered around everywhere, composed Hiroyuki Sawano, who is personally one of my favorite composers because she is well known around the anime community for her Kill la Kill banger. Bro, Before My Body Goes Dry, that theme is a banger. Fuck, I love. Don't lose your way. Before I get carried away, The OST for this anime is very well done, although it's not very memorable, right? That's the best thing I can say. It's very enjoyable to listen to, but it's not something that you would go back to be like, oh, I need to download the OST and listen to it in my free time. It's just something that really knows how to set a mood, really knows how to set an emotion, kind of just jump into it, you delve into it, you enjoy it, but it's not memorable to the point where you're like, oh damn, I really need to go back. I need to rewatch this movie just for its OST. It's no Sakamoto Desuka, it's no Kill la Kill, it's no JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like, I could go on about many animes that have memorable OSTs that you just want to go back and constantly listen to. Unfortunately, Bubble is not one of them. It's very enjoyable, just not memorable. At the 53-minute mark, more or less, there's this very high-pitched hum noise that buzzes, and I know it's very intentional, right? It buzzes around the entire audio speaker, whatever. And the thing is, I was wearing headphones, so it's high pitch, it's like very high frequency, and it bothered the fuck out of my ears, right? Because it was buzzing from left to right, left to right, left to right. It was so annoying that I had to remove my headphones just to hold them like this so that the buzzing stopped and then I could put it back on. It was very irritating. Especially considering the plot of the anime has, which I will discuss later, has something to do with the main character having very sensitive ears. You really said fuck you. You really gave me a really strong fuck you to my ears, knowing that it kind of surrounds the whole theme of sound. Like, why did you have to do that? I did not like that. But aside from that, in terms of the audio mixing, OSTs, music, everything, it's pretty chill. With that whole high frequency noise at the 53-minute mark, while yes, it was annoying, it did end up leading to a very enjoyable music performance during one of like the parkour scenes, which is it's a small gripe from a bigger benefit in my books.
You're not trying too hard.
While I did earlier question and kind of disapprove of an anime having an opening theme, I won't lie to you. The visuals for that opening slapped. I enjoyed them. They were very vibrant, very nicely saturated. Wasn't overly saturated, wasn't undersaturated. It was like perfect. The animation for the parkour scenes was so enjoyable to look at, which I will discuss later on. This opening really gives off this very bubbly energy, which I guess is what they were going for. But like, I really enjoyed the very big, vibrant, bubbly aesthetic that came with the opening. Like, you really felt like a child. Like an energetic, soft, yet like, yeah, you know, I don't know how to describe it. The opening really was something worth looking at. Even though I didn't approve of an opening in the beginning, once looking at it, I was like, you know what, I kind of fucks with it. But I do wish they would have put it somewhere else in the movie though. I do have a very love-hate type of relationship that comes with an opening being put in the beginning of the movie. Now, while I really do like the character designs in this anime, except for the main girl, Uta, her eyes are very big. They're bigger than everyone else's. I don't know if it was just me who noticed it, but it looked very off when you compared her face, her facial features, to everybody else in the series. It felt very disproportionate. But aside from that, I do have a question to ask. Why is there a discount Naruto running around in the anime? I don't know. Maybe that's just me being nitpicky. While I'm on the whole topic of nitpicky, I do enjoy that in one of the scenes, if you look very closely, there's like a very small reference to Beyond the Boundary. It slipped into one of the scenes where instead of being called Beyond the Boundary, it's called Beyond the Border. I don't know why. I saw that and I was like, you know what? I fucks with it. I really like it. It's very small. It's very there. But I liked it. That is a very small nitpick that caught my attention, and I was like, yeah, I have to bring that up. Now, talking about the meat and potatoes of the animation, the parkour scenes, which choreographed and the animation, stellar. Absolutely amazing. Wit Studios, they really did well with this. Clearly showing that that's where the majority of the budget went to, which kind of makes sense. If you're going to be a parkour anime, then your parkour choreographed and your animation has to be top tier, otherwise you're kind of flopping 90% of the entire movie. Again, amazingly done, hats off to it, or in this case, beanie off to it, because if somebody were to show you the parkour scenes alone, you would be so interested in watching the anime. Like that's actually how I got involved in watching this anime. Somebody showed me the parkour scene only, and I was like, you know what? I fucks with this. I gotta watch this. And it really does show. When you're watching this, they show so much detail in the parkour scenes. For example, later on in the series, you see a person who is kind of amputated. Well, not amputated, but he has like a prosthetic leg, and you can see the limping that he does when he runs and he does his parkour scenes. Amazingly done. The attention to detail alone just gets you invested in the movie. And I also love how there's this kind of energy to it, where when you're watching the parkour scenes, with a lot of them, they have this very, I don't know how to describe it, it's like this drug-induced aesthetic, where it feels as if you watch this while on some psychedelics or some drugs, you fuck with it intensely. I was watching one of the scenes and I was listening to Playboy Cardi's Molly play in the background as they were busy doing the parkour scenes, and it worked so well. It worked so nicely that I just loved it so much. Also, the attention to detail, where there's later on in the scene where one of the main characters kind of gets like blood, like he gets scarred around the eye, and it starts to show like swelling in the skin. Like they literally drew swelling. So it wasn't just like, ooh, there's a red line, let's move on. No, there was actually swelling as well. That is something I really enjoyed. This very small attention to details was something that really caught my attention when watching this anime. Even though I was sitting down watching it with a very critical eye, those small details really just like jumped in, and I was like, you know what, I really do appreciate these type of things that were thrown into this Netflix movie. Kind of gave me that small feeling of Kimi no Nawa, Your Name. The small attention to details really gets you invested in the series that you're watching or the movie that you're watching. One of the things about the animation that I did appreciate the most when involving the attention to detail was the times where they'd go like super heavy on the quality of the frames in order to convey a sense of seriousness, emotion, like intimacy, like especially between the two main characters and the situation that was unfolding. I really loved that so much, because it really is like, oh, you can watch, and then there were those moments and you're like, damn, this is screenshot worthy. Like, you immediately have to screenshot every single frame that you would see. Like, this entire movie was not shy of screenshot worthy frames. Just the visuals made sure they tried their best to catch your attention in every single scene, because you'd have screenshots like this, or like this, or like this. Like, you just really be invested in this entire anime visually. I really loved it. Now, in terms of attire, what can I say? It was pretty regular parkour attire, because again, makes sense. This is a parkour anime. There was one group called The Undertaker. At first glance, when looking at them, they look very cool. Like, I love their mask. But then the thing is, the more you looked at those masks, the more uglier they looked. I looked at them at first and I was like, okay, I want that mask. Then a few frames later, I'm like, damn, that shit's whack. That shit's ugly. I don't know if the quality of the masks dropped, or you just had more time to look at the mask itself and you're like, I'm not feeling it anymore. Now, plot-wise, we immediately get a rundown of the whole parkour situation and why it happens in this movie, thanks to some very badly placed exposition. Like, if you've been living in this version of Tokyo for however long you've been living there, you would already know the ins and the outs as to why the parkour or the Tokyo battle core happens. And yet, there's this one character who, I don't know, he was the idiot of the group, right? And he asks for a recap as to why do we do all of this, so that the viewers can know. So we're basically the idiot person, right? That idiot is meant to represent the viewers. But again, if you've been living in Tokyo for as long as you've been living there, why are you suddenly asking why everything happens the way it happens? It's like, you would know, you live there. I guess that's the only way they could have given us a quick explanation or a quick rundown of what's going on, but I do believe it could have been executed more seamlessly. That said, the starting plot: a mysterious event occurred. Bubbles fell all over Tokyo, caused a giant explosion, and turned Tokyo into a kind of post-apocalyptic type of zone. Everywhere else in Japan is perfectly fine. Only Tokyo is fucked up. And these bubbles have such weird effects, like causing zero gravity to certain places. Like if it touches a car, the car gets zero gravity. And people are now using that barren Tokyo as a place to kind of stay away from society. They don't want to conform to the 9 to 5 daily life thing, so they go to Tokyo and then they live there. They kind of participate in parkour battles in order to get daily necessities and all of that stuff, and they have like parkour races, and if you lose the race, then you lose whatever daily necessities you were playing for example, oil, food, water, and all those type of necessities. But now, me explaining all of that, you now kind of see why I have a problem with that whole dumb character asking why you guys are all racing. Because again, to premise this, you guys are racing for daily necessities, and you guys are like capture the flag type of parkour battles. But the issue is, you guys are racing for daily necessities. So how could you not know the rules despite looking somewhat healthy and in shape? That's the flaw that happened in the whole, why are we doing all of this? Is it really necessary if you don't know how to play the game? And are they really daily necessities if, again, you don't know how to play the game that you need to play in order to get those daily necessities? Now, you see the issue? You see the problem here? So either A, these aren't really necessities, they aren't as necessary as they make them out to be, or 2, this person is new to the city, because again, you can actually freely enter and exit the whole bubble area. You can. So maybe this person is a newbie, but even then, the way he looked, it felt as if he was very familiar with the surroundings that he was in, and yet he didn't know how to play the game. Or 3, he's just leeching off everybody, which I guess that's an option, but I'm not really content with that option. Now, the main story or the main plot of this entire story involves the main character, Hibiki, who has auditory hypersensitivity, and he can hear the bubbles, because apparently the bubbles make like songs and music and all of that stuff. So he can hear the bubbles to such a minute detail that whenever he does parkour, he's one of the only people who can predict where the bubble is going to be and then bounce off one of them. So he's just able to do all of these things so seamlessly, right? And that said, I do have a complaint for that, because I don't understand how his wireless, seemingly waterproof noise cancelling headphones work, because whenever he does these parkours, he's like doing backflips and shit like that, but they always manage to stay on. Like that's the type of anime physics that annoys me. Like, I need those headphones, whatever he's using. It's as if he's using Raycon earbuds, which I do have a pair of. I have my own pair of Raycons, not sponsored, even though that would have been a perfect time for a sponsorship. Anyways, Hibiki ends up meeting this magic bubble girl. That's the best thing I can describe her as. She meets this magical bubble girl named Uta, who can both hear the music that's coming from the bubbles, because again, she's a bubble girl, but she can also sing, and the singing that she does is the same song that the bubbles resonate, again, because magic bubble girl. Hibiki's lone wolf-esque type of personality gets really dry very quick. Like you just don't feel the energy. Like, he literally has the ability to drain your energy. That's how bland he is. And the thing is, I get it, right? Because of his hypersensitivity, his auditory hypersensitivity, he's barely been able to expose himself to friends and all of that stuff, right? So he's very antisocial. But the thing is, he's been living with his friends for like 4+ years. You'd think he knows how to socialize with at least that small group of people, but he can't. So even then, he still has this very lone wolf personality, and it's just boring. And that's the thing that also bothers me about his hypersensitivity, his auditory hypersensitivity, is that it's very situational. There are certain parts in the series where it's just too much. He has to I can't, like, it's that bad. And then there are other times where he's just like, his hearing is as normal as everybody else. There was a part where he lost his headphones, and ever since then he never needed those headphones ever again, despite attending a party. He went to a party where everyone was making noise, and that didn't affect his hearing. No! Why do you have those in the first place then? That's the thing that really bothers me. It's very situational, and then at the end of the movie, suddenly he needs them again, or his hearing is like super Saiyan hearing again. It's like, pick a struggle, please. Either be normal or be abnormal. Just choose one. I hated the inconsistency that came with his hearing. So couple that with his very antisocial, boring ass personality, Hibiki is not really an enjoyable character unless he's with Uta. Then they have this very cute relationship, which I really enjoyed. That was the only time I enjoyed Hibiki being on screen. Get that bitch off my screen! Uta's initial childish feline personality is adorable at first glance, and she really has this ability to like brighten up the mood in any scene that she's in. Even if it's a sad scene, just looking at Uta, I don't know, it gives me some kind of hope for the series or this movie. Like, it kind of lifts up the spirit. It's a nice, energetic, soft, childlike personality. It's really something that's like soft on the eyes. It's not too much, but it's also not too little. So it's just perfectly set. She is a well-written character in terms of her personality, in terms of that aspect, because for the longest time she was unable to speak, because again, she's very new to life. That's how I can describe it. She's very new to life because again, Magic Bubble Girl, this is the first time in a human form. She's very new to it, and she was only relegated to like a few phrases here and there, and it really played into her mystery as to like, who is this girl? She looks old enough to be like as old as all of us, but she couldn't even speak any basic language. She only knew a few phrases. She barely even knew her own name. She had to be given a name by everybody else. So that mystery aspect really played into her character. I really enjoyed it, but there are some parts that really did irritate me. Like, for example, if she touches the main character, her hands bubble up even more, right? She slowly loses her form. So later on in the series, there was a time where she was wearing a glove and she had to grab the main character. But instead of grabbing the main character with the hand that is protected, she grabs him with the unprotected hand just to bubble up even more and end up losing her arm. I'm like, at that point, why? That was very dumb, and I guess she is not the brightest tool in the shed, and that was intentional. But like, I guess it was meant to try and pull at our heartstrings of like, oh no, she's dying. And what bothers me the most about the entire plot is that the entire plot becomes null and void in the first 32 minutes, right? Literally at the 32-minute mark, right? There was a scene where Uta is in the library, right? She's picking out books because again, she doesn't know how to speak, and she's learning how to read and write and speak through these books that she's reading. So she picks out a book, and then one of the girls who's with Uta, she's like, oh, I don't like that book. It's horrible because of the way it ends, because the main female turns into bubbles and dies. I was like, oh my god, there is no ways you spoiled the entire movie within the 30-second mark. Not to mention 5 minutes of that is relegated to like logos and all of that stuff. But around like 27 minutes of the movie spoiled the rest of the movie. I saw that and I was like, there is no fucking way you spoiled the entire movie for me when I was like 1/3 in. And now, moving on with the rest of the movie, you know exactly what's going to happen, what to expect, and at that point you don't even feel sorry. You don't feel upset with what's going to happen later on because she spoiled it. That was literally like fourth wall breaking. That was fourth wall breaking to the degree. Like, that's nuts. If you're going to spoil the entire movie just like that. At that point, it's not even foreshadowing. It's quite literally blatant spoiling. This is what's going to happen at the end of the movie. Prepare for it. And you might not even like it. Just like the girl said, she didn't like the ending, so you might not even like it as well. So at that point, it's like this self-awareness really pissed me off. When the whole bad scenes happen that were already spoiled, when those actually do happen, you don't feel attached. You're kind of like, yeah, we knew this was going to happen. At this point, you just, why? I think that alone, that one spoiler, that one conversation at the 32-minute mark was enough to almost ruin the entire movie. If it wasn't for the parkour scenes, the entire movie, gone. It's absolutely, I'd rate it like a 1 out of 10 if I just had to focus on that one part. Or fortunately for the movie, I tried my best to ignore that one conversation, moving on with the entire series. But whenever there was a situation that led up to that moment, I was like, oh, I knew this was gonna happen because they fucking spoiled it. And this anime has its ups, it has its downs. For the most part, I can give it praise, credit where credit is due, and I can see where this hype is coming from in terms of like the hype that's been popping up on TikTok and YouTube. However, this anime is family friendly in every sense of the word, to the point where it's one of those animes that you absolutely just have to. It's not like watching it alone will not be as enjoyable. You have to watch this with somebody else. Otherwise, you will get bored. Like throughout most cases, that's how family friendly it is. This anime only has like 3 main emotions: happy, sad, and mellow. And there's hardly any in-betweens. So this is quite literally family friendly in every sense of the word. There's no swearing. There's no swearing. There's hardly any violence. This anime does its best, its absolute best, to constantly draw parallels between Disney's The Little Mermaid. Quite literally, this anime is Japan's version of The Little Mermaid. I'm not against that. I'm really not against that. But again, because it's being drawn as a parallel to The Little Mermaid, again, it emphasizes family friendly. So this is one of those animes where you really only watch it with friends because, again, or you watch it with family because, again, family friendly. I do not recommend watching this anime alone. I'm going to keep emphasizing, watch this anime with someone else, please. This anime really does know how to put that meaning behind carried by animation, because again, if you're watching it alone, you'll get bored very quickly unless you're watching the parkour scenes, which is again emphasized on animation, so it's carried by animation. The story is good, even though it got spoiled in the 32-minute mark. It's good, but I wouldn't really invest in this anime if it wasn't for the animation. So I would recommend this only if you have somebody to watch it with. I'm feeling a very light to decent 6 on this one. Transition. Anyways, let me know what you thought about this anime. Do you agree? Did you disagree? Let me know in the comment section. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you can be updated next time I update. Dislike if you dislike it. Be ever wonderful. This has been Biscordy Baldtano signing out and trying to blow bubbles forever.